Ladies and gentlemen, today is Tuesday, June 10th, 2014. And this is the KNKL Show, episode 184, where we learn to be better artists. I'm Kienan Lafferty, and today we're going to be doing a tutorial on refining your sketches, so that way you can come up with stuff like Diana, sexy ladies. But before we get into that, we just need to get this out of the way, because it has been a long time since I have caught up on the Facebook. And I do apologize, but we're just going to go through everybody's submissions really quick. And in the meantime, while we are scrolling... Hey, look, I can do it with no hands. Oh! In the meantime, while we're scrolling, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has been coming out of your shell and submitting to the Facebook on the KNKL Facebook page. And for those of you who have not yet come out of your shells, please consider joining us, because we have candy and cookies and Hawaiian grilled chicken, all that good stuff. Which is what I ate yesterday. Oh, so good. So good. But yeah, I absolutely love every single one of these. And I really, really like this one. This is the latest one. Sent in. Great style. Great style coming in from that. Alrighty. If I could pronounce your name, I totally would give a stab at it. But probably mess it up. But let's focus on the task at hand, because we need to talk about Diana. We need to talk about refining sketches. So without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump into the time lapse. This was something I was working on during the stream probably a few weeks ago, and I want to talk about a couple things today. I've got my little checklist here, and the first thing that I want to talk about is how I go about setting up sketches. And you guys have seen me do this a lot, but I feel like it's something that I really need to consistently be bringing back up. I need to remind you guys that how I go about doing my drawings is not by doing it perfect the first time. I will do multiple different sketches. I'll draw, in this case I was drawing Diana. I'll draw her from two different angles. I was like, hey, wouldn't that be cool if there was one where she's like looking down and it's like a profile shot? But then I was like, maybe I should do like a face-on drawing so I could get the measurements of Diana. All right, this is something that I've been doing for my client working on Pauldron. For those of you who have been seeing me working on that game, I'll actually come up with, here, let me go ahead and pull it up. I'll actually draw out the characters. But then what I do, like for example, this is William. Something that I really like to do is I like to make these measurements of the face. So I know, okay, this is where his eyes go. This is, where his chin is, and just the basic proportions. And this really helps me to capture the same face when I'm doing expressions. But that is another tutorial for another time. Let's go ahead and get back to this, because that's what I'm talking about. Yes, that is what I'm talking about. So the first thing I want to say as well is I drew these lips on Diana, and this is more of like a what not to do type of thing. I'm just so sick of the big upper lips that all girls have in comics. They're like pushed together, and their teeth are like sticking out. It just looks so stupid to me. Like, it's okay if some girls have that, but like every single comic book girl these days, especially in American comics, tends to have those lips. I pick up a book on how to draw American comics. This is how you draw the female, and then she just has like these giant, I don't know, bee-stung lips. That's what we'll call them, bee-stung lips. So don't draw bee-stung lips on all your girls. Give them some nice, sexy, gothic, I don't know, skinny lips like Diana lips. So yeah, I'm blabbing over here, but what I'm working on right now is I'm working on a completely different angle for this, where this is Diana looking straight at us. And something that I want to talk to you guys about is, even though I don't end up finishing with this pose, it was a really nice departure. And again, it goes back to allowing yourself to flow in the beginning, allowing yourself to trust in the force of the artist. Trust in the force of the artist and just get out what needs to get out on the canvas, even if it's not something that you're going to use in the end. This is a problem that I had actually when I first started working for Riot. When I was doing the splashes, the splash screens, I would always think about, okay, what's the exact picture that I need to do? And then somebody came up to me, one of my good my good friends and coworkers named Owen. He was another one of the concept artists there at Riot. He came up to me and he was like, "Oh, Keenan, you should do some thumbnails or something." I was like, thumbnails? I don't need that. Yeah, you should just draw a bunch of little tiny pictures and then you can choose. You got choices. I was like, I don't need choices. I can do it right the very first time. Right? And I can draw Diane as a clown. I don't even know what I was doing on the stream. I think I was talking about, I know what I was talking about. In fact, I'm going to do a quick little tangent here. what I was talking about was when you are sketching things, right? I want to introduce you guys to a very special friend called Control J. Control J. Okay, and what Control J is going to do for you is it is going to be your best friend, because say you're working on this, you're working on your Diana, and you're like, oh, hey, I really like this, but I want to, and this is why I drew her as a clown, right? I was like, I want to draw something else on her, maybe make her have a happy face, right? And now she has like, I don't know, like sunken in zombie eyes. Okay? That's really scary. But anyway, okay, and then you're like, oh no, I don't want to have her smiling and with sunken in zombie eyes. Oh crap. And then you try to go back in the history, but say you've done more than your history can allow. Well, what's really nice about Control J is that it duplicates your layer up, right? From the state that it was before you hit Control J. So it just allows you to delete that scary face and go back to where you were. So I'm constantly hitting Control J whenever I'm like, okay, I like this, but I want to try something really different with either the face or just refining something. I'll just hit Control J. It's almost kind of like a save state if you're thinking about video games. A save state for your painting, so don't forget it. Control J, good friend, good friend. All right. Demonstrating some other things with, I think I turned her into like a pilot or something. And there is a really, really loud, like garbage truck outside. I don't know if you guys can hear that. It's like reverberating the bass like through my entire apartment. Speaking of my apartment, it is very, very warm in here. It is very warm, and I am becoming nice and sweaty. And here's a good example of this. Okay, so right there, that face that I was drawing on Diana, oh man, I totally messed this up. And I'm really glad that I got this on camera, I guess you could say, because I want you guys to know that I don't get things right the first time. In fact, I almost never get them right the first time. But through getting things wrong, I immediately can go back, because check this out. See all these layers over here? These are all a bunch of the same layers that I've hit Control J to try different things on. So I'll do this. I did this face, and I was like, no, you know what? I don't like that face. And then I went back to an older save state, because I was like, there's something in this sketch that has an emotion that was lost when I tried to refine it. So I was like, all right, let's give it another go. So I did that, and then it worked out quite a bit more to my advantage. And yeah. So yeah, now I'm refining this face. I'm like, this is more what I was looking for. This is much more what I'm looking for. And I'm still confused and like in awe as to why a lot of my final drawing, a lot of the emotion is captured within that very first sketch. All right, so the time lapse is done. The next thing I want to talk about is just getting comfortable, right? Let's go back to the very beginning, and I'll just go ahead and pull up some of the things, and I'll draw over top of them. So I did these Dianas here, right? Made small changes, and eventually I think I ended up with this face. And I was really happy with how the eyes looked. I was really happy with how the makeup looked. I feel like I'm getting into this really cool style where it's like a mix of the old League of Legends Splash stuff that I used to do and the style that I do for Emma, all right? So I'm really happy with that. But let's go back to this very first sketch. And this is what I ended up using, because after I did that front on face, I realized that it just didn't have the dynamic that I was looking for. It didn't have the same type of mood or feeling. So really what I want you guys to pay attention to, and what I am doing in this instance, is I'm looking for flow lines, right? I'm thinking about the curve of her body as it comes down, instead of like she's standing like straight up, like, you know, like a popsicle stick. You know, especially when you're drawing women, it's really, really awesome to have that really sexy S curve going through them, right? And I love Diana because, you know, she's not got like her boobs like hanging out like every other, you know, League of Legends champion, but she still is sexy in her own right? Because she is the strong female. I really like the strong females from League, like Riven, Diana. Who else? Leona. She's okay. Not as cool as Diana. I like Diana more. I embrace the heresy more than I praise the sun. Or is that the right term? Am I thinking Dark Souls? I don't know. But anyway, flow lines. Okay? So don't forget that. And so let me show you guys basically what I do to start refining. to begin my refinement. So I went from this to this. Okay, big change there, big change. And I think I'll demonstrate actually on the face if I can. Okay, so I've gone from that to this. But notice how the same emotion is still there. If anything, it's just been heightened. All right, so I'm going to demonstrate for you real time, because a lot of you guys have asked me to do this, how I go about sculpting. So one of the most important things that you want to do is I like to use the chalk brush for a couple different reasons. And I'll go ahead and explain that as I go through here. But one of the reasons why I like the chalk brush, oh, and by the way, you can get all of my brushes. You can download them for free by clicking the link down below if you're watching on YouTube. But the reason why I like the chalk brush is because it just has this really cool, like when you do the stroke with it, look at how it has all that already inherent built-in texture that you don't have to sit there and like stipple with your, because I used to do that. I used to like draw the little dots and stuff like that, like draw texture with nothing more than the hard round brush. And I thought it was really cool for doing it. But later I found out I wasn't, to my surprise. So anyway, how I go about sculpting is basically like this. You lay down the thick lines, and then I go in and I begin to start kind of shaving it away, like carving it from a piece of wood or marble. You want to think about your character's digital clay, digital marble, as you guys have heard me make that analogy before. But I'm really paying attention mostly to what is working mostly. Like I'm just kind of expanding upon what's already there and making sure not to lose too much of what was there before, if that makes sense. It's kind of tough to explain, but I don't know. Like I said, that's why it's really important that you hit Control J, and then you go ahead and you work and work and work and work, right? And then you can always go back and check if you're still getting that same feeling, okay? So go ahead and do that. So let's continue, right? So, oh, and the other reason why I like this chalk brush is because it allows you to quickly throw in values if you want to. And this is another thing that I like to do. I like to take it and make it like a big brush, and then I'll very lightly press in certain areas to start creating a little bit of value. Now, I don't really intend on valuing the entire piece, but for specifically like under the eyelids, under the brow line, stuff like that, I will go ahead and I will do that so I can remember for later. And plus it just makes it look nice. It helps me to get a little bit more of a feeling of what it's going to be at the end. So yeah, and I'll do a little bit like on the cheeks like that, and then I'll erase it, kind of add it and erase it until it starts getting like the idea that I want, or like the feeling that I want. Okay, and I ended up changing the lips, so it was more like that. But can you see how this is starting to come together? Basically, like I'm constantly doing this with my pen. I'm like, and what's really funny is the newer Intuos, the 5, for some reason I don't think it planned on artists doing that constantly. Because when I do it on my brother's Intuos, like because I'm constantly flipping back and forth, sometimes it doesn't like pick it up. I flip it to the eraser and it thinks that I'm still like painting. It'll just keep painting stuff. So I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm just weird. Probably I'm just weird. So take my techniques with a grain of salt, but this is what works really well for me. I love doing this stuff. But yeah, just painting lightly with your chalk brush, allowing it to create the texture you desire. And yeah, just letting the computer do the work for you. Like I love doing that now. I love letting the computer just do the work for me. Do all the work for me. Thank you, computer. So yeah, just go through sculpt. Here's the underside of the chin, right? Get those outside lines like really crisp, right? And then basically you'll see how we have now refined the face from this to this, and then from this to this, right? And I love the emotion that's being captured in this. And really that kind of happens by trusting yourself and just kind of going with the flow. Just going with the flow, you'll naturally start to get stuff like this. And it only comes through experimentation, comes through practice, and it comes sometimes through a little bit of luck, to be honest. You gotta just feel the emotion, and then it just comes through. That's the only way I can describe it. Because see, it's still not exactly what I had before. And I'm really, really surprised, because I actually did this on stream, too. But, like I said, I must have channeled the talent of all the artists that were watching me. I'm guessing that's what it was. So yeah, I hope that helps you guys out a little bit with more of what my technique is. Oh, I know what it is. There we go. Let's have a little bit more like that. Her forehead looks crazy. But anyway, we don't need to get into that. The point is, I'm sweating, and it's time to move on. So then we get to this. And I'm basically taking those same principles, and I'm just working my way down the lovely body. And again, another reason why I really like the chalk brush is because see that little texture that's right in there? I can throw in stuff like this, and then, hey, look at that. Now that's like a specular going up the armor. And all I did was draw on the side there and on the side there. And then I allow the texture to create that cool effect. So give that a shot. See if you like it. Then we get to here. We're starting. See, that's exactly what I'm doing like on the legs. I do this constantly. I'll just take the brush and then I'll just go whoop, whoop, like that. And then there you go. There's your specular right there. And you just kind of erase, whatever goes on the outside edges, if it goes on the outside edges of the legs. Then you continue refining till you get to your glorious final lines. And now I'm going to show you a couple tricks that can help you finish off a piece like this, especially if it's black and white. Because even though it is black and white, you want to control your values. And you want to bring your attention. You want to bring your peoples, the attention of Ja people. You want to bring it right there. Because that is the most important part of the piece. So the way that you go about doing that is a couple things. The first thing you're going to want to do is think about your just straight up values. And you'll notice that as it goes back down to her legs, notice how all the values down here, they start compressing into kind of the similar dark gray. See how the lines and the darkness of her legs sort of become one color right here? That is lowering the contrast so that way you're not apt to look there first, right? But then you notice all the contrast, like the brightest point of this piece is right here on the face, right? The highest contrast point is right here on the face. And that was done so intentionally. Another thing that really helps out with the background, you'll notice there's a slight gradient starting from here, moving its way down to here, that again will lead your eye. Your eye likes to move from gradients. It likes to move to the brightest part of the gradient. So that's another tool that I'm using to bring you over here. And then, similarly, there's a dark to light gradient heading back up to her face. Another thing that you could say, if you want to get really technical, is the flow lines of her armor. Also, these act as arrows pointing up. These are arrows all pointing us back up to the glorious face. Even this is pointing us there. Yeah. Those are all things, some people go into all this analyzing these paintings and how everything was just set up perfectly so that way it brings you back to your focal point. But I just like to use a couple of those things. I don't like to overanalyze stuff. I just like to, draw what looks good. And more than anything, I really think the focal points relies on contrast. So the bright point, as well as limiting and dropping the contrast on places basically outside of the picture. You almost think of it as, you ever seen those pictures that, the girls take on Facebook where it's they're making some cute little face at you, and then they do this thing, I don't know what program it is, but it blurs everything around their face. You notice how when they do that, it just makes you look, right? It makes you look at exactly what's not blurry, and that's their face. And that's because everything around them, they've lowered the interest or the contrast of the background around them and pulled you in to their over-contrasted face. So, that's another conversation for never. I think I covered everything that I needed to today. Yes, stay away from bee-stung lips. Take care of your ladies. Take care of your contrast. Refine your stuff. Work with flow. Don't worry about it coming out perfectly the first time. I gave it a shot a couple times, and then before I got to this face. And just understand that, I don't know, it just really, it's so much easier to say than it is to actually do it, but it really just comes down to experience. It comes down to experience, and it comes from actually failing. It comes from actually doing things wrong. I've done things wrong so many times. I'm like Thomas Edison in a light bulb, right? I figured out 1,000 ways not to draw a person's face, and then I finally got it. And I'm still improving. I still, even now that I have, figured out a way to do it, I'm still getting better. And that's the awesome journey that being an artist is. So I hope that you guys got some good value out of this. Speaking, since we're talking about value. But I hope this helps you out. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, thumbs up if you like it, thumbs down if you don't. My name is Kienan Lafferty. Don't forget you can click this button if you can get cool stuff. If you want cool stuff from the Emma Patreon page. I'm getting ready to send out... where is it? Yes. I'm now getting ready to send out these prints. So if you want one of these, you can pay what you want for them. As little as $1. And I'll ship it to you. Even if you live out in Belgium. So yeah, if that sounds like something interesting to you. You want to get cool stuff every month, click that button. Click it. You guys take care of yourselves. I'll see you next time.